But when you were actually talking production and making decisions and creative decisions on program content, it was a bunch of men. And how did you sort of handle that? Did that ever come into your awareness? Did you have to respond differently? Did you even ever think about it? Because there's a lot of us that just sort of navigated it and it turned out okay. What was your experience like that as a young woman?
Well, first of all, I was raised by a single dad. So I don't know that at first it really, I grew up playing basketball and I played with boys. I grew up with a single dad. So I was around my dad and his friends all the time. And so I don't know that I really went in going, oh, wait, no one around me looks like me in really that way. It wasn't long that I figured that out. I was probably about 23 and I had heard that there was this mentorship program that you could sign up for within the industry. And I signed up and no one responded. And I called and no one responded. And then finally I started basically stalking because I had questions I needed somebody to answer. And one of those questions was, as I move up in the industry, what do I wear? Like there was no one that could answer that question. And I finally got a call back and they said, we're sorry, we don't have anyone for you. There isn't anyone that can answer your questions. There's no women in production in this that is ahead of you that can answer your questions. And so I started, obviously I noticed it, right? You can't not. There's things that we have to think about that maybe otherwise we wouldn't. What was I going to wear? How much did I have to spout out that I knew about sports versus being the know-it-all that talks too much about how much they know, right? And how am I being portrayed, and how were there conversations and things being talked about, especially 20 years ago in the production offices that maybe they would stop talking about when I walked in, or they wouldn't stop talking about, and I would have preferred that. So obviously those are things. But for me, I always saw it this way, Karen, is that, nobody sent me an invitation to the party. I knew that. I decided to come to this party and I decided that I was going to stay as long as I could prove to them that I was, worthy of being there. And so for me, when there were things where I went, this is, I have to work harder, or this is uncomfortable, or I could leave. I could do anything else that I wanted. This job was that great that there were things where I would go, okay, I have to process this one differently than maybe anyone else in the room does, but that's okay. I chose this. And, I hope that the industry, actually, I know it is a lot better now for a diverse group of people entering it, which is the hope that each time one of us is a good egg and a hard worker, then that just paves the way for 10 more.